Hi, it's Jeff.
And Denise from Mousesteps.com.
And this is episode number 204.
204.
Of Mousesteps Weekly.
Sponsored by MEI Travel and Mouse Fan Travel with over 80 vacation planners, and they're in business almost 20 years, which is fantastic. And they will search for the best deal for your Disney vacation or Universal or wherever they have been.
Cruises, Adventures by Disney. Mm-hmm. But when it comes down to it, they really are Disney specialists. So
Absolutely.
They are the experts in that field. Also, check out their online newsletter for even more information.
Speaking of newsletters, we are now sponsored by allears.net newsletter. And I just wanted to thank them and to welcome them to the show. And I just want to say that for 20 years or so, I have not only known them, but recommended them. And as a travel agent, I would always send my guests to their website. But you can get a newsletter free to your mailbox every week, and it has tips on Disney, restaurant and resort reviews. They talk about food and wine because to me, they are the food and wine specialists. They talk about DVC. They also specialize in that. They pretty much know everything.
Tons of information, and the price is right. As we said, we like free. Free is good. Allears.net newsletter. We're going to link to them in the show notes. Very easy to subscribe. Just check that out right down below. So we're going to jump right into the very last performance of the Main Street Electrical Parade, and there is one of the ambassadors of Walt Disney World right
Nathaniel
there.
Palma, it looks like. I was not there. Jeff was there. I wasn't feeling well that day. We had only been back from Paris for a few days, and I was still, it took me a while to get back to normal. But this was, I mentioned October 9th. This is the third time that the Main Street Electrical Parade has glowed away from Walt Disney World, so I don't know if it will be back, but I never counted out.
Well, I have been there for the final night every time that it has blown away. And the very first time it glowed away, they gave everybody really cool posters, and I still have them, so I'll have to dig that out. Nothing was given on this particular night, except for a good time, because I really did have a great time.
So this run lasted for just over 6 years. This came back as part of Summer Nightastic, which otherwise was not that great, but it was nice to have the Main Street Electrical Parade back. And it included, I think the Tinkerbell float was new for that, and they added some special
Well, the Tinkerbell float debuted at the Disney California Adventure. That's when they retired.
Oh,
yeah, that's right. They retired the Blue Fairy float.
I've seen it there too. So, I mean, it's been...
This is the same one from Disney. This thing has been around. This is actually the Disneyland version. It has been to New York City for the Hercules Electrical Parade. I saw it there myself, which was quite wonderful. And again, it has been, this Disneyland version, this is its second time at Walt Disney World. The original Walt Disney World went to Disneyland Paris, and it never returned.
I thought they sent at least a couple floats back from that, because I read that. But, I mean, there's so much information. All of the parks have had some sort of, I don't want to say all the parks, it's not like Epcot didn't have it, but right. All of the different resorts have had an electrical parade. I believe Dreamlights is what's at Tokyo right now. Disneyland Paris had for a number of years a Main Street Electrical Parade. This is my childhood parade. This is, I think it started in 1977, and that's about the time that I started going to Walt Disney World.
It truly is a classic, and it was a wonderful night. What we're watching here is the very, very final performance, the 11 o'clock. I thought it was going to be packed and one of those nights where it's just not fun. Not the case. I showed up for the earlier parade. I think it was 8:30 or 9 o'clock. Not that bad. I had friends who let me watch it with them. And directly after the first parade ended, I went and got my favorite spot, the place you and I saw the very last Spectro Magic in the very first showing of this parade in 2010, right here in Town Square. Although I missed you, I sort of had you with me because I was sending you pictures and little clips at home. So I'm sorry you weren't feeling well, but at least you're able to see all the highlights right now.
You know, it was okay. I would have liked to have seen it in the weeks before it closed. I'm not always wanting to be there for the last night just in case it's too crazy, though. You were like, oh, there's nobody around me.
I had nobody next to me for an hour. I was on the curb with no one on each side for 1 hour, so I did not expect that either. That was a pleasant surprise, actually.
And I don't know if they will have any parades at night for a while. I've heard rumors. I mean, they will have... during Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, we'll have Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas Time Parade, but that is about it that I know of.
Yeah, we heard rumors they might run the Festival of Fantasy Parade at night, maybe next year when...
But we don't talk rumors, so...
Yeah, I mean, we do not know.
I don't talk rumors.
Right. I'll tell you what we won't be seeing. Paint
What?
the Night. Because
No.
Paint the Night will not be coming here. We've heard that many times, and I truly believe it will not be coming to Walt Disney World.
Well, Paint the Night is I think it's around November 18th. It's going to be back for select nights at Disneyland. Main Street Electrical Parade is heading to Disneyland after that, and I think they're going to fix up Paint the Night, and it may end up staying in California. That is, again, rumors that we don't like to talk about.
Well, Paint the Night ran for
there.
18 months nonstop, so it needs a little refreshment. Everybody would need a refreshment after working for 18 months with no breaks.
Paint the Night is actually my favorite parade, so if it had come here, I would have loved that.
This is awesome. There is Elliot from Pete's Dragon blowing out all kinds of smoke. The parade went off flawlessly for the last showing. Although I heard later on down the parade route, it was stuck. So I'm glad I watched it where I did, where I saw it, in perfect synchronization.
And this is what everybody calls the bacon float.
Bacon float. It is the bacon float.
To honor America, but it looks
Especially
like
bacon.
a big slice of bacon. So, and then of course we have the American Eagle at the end. And,
what a great float. I love, it is a great parade. It is a classic parade. I will miss it. But, I'm ready for whatever comes next. Hopefully we'll have an all new.
If anything comes next, what if we get nothing?
It might be, you will get nothing and like it. That is a very
It may be quiet for a while at night. So I don't know if that's good or bad. I personally like having nighttime entertainment as far as a parade in the Magic Kingdom. That's what I'm used to for most of the years that I've been going, which is almost 40 years. But we'll see what happens in the upcoming year or two.
Well, certainly the version of the Main Street Electrical Parade in Tokyo, the Dreamlights, is spectacular. So I wouldn't be opposed if we get the hand-me-down from them at some point.
Hand-me-down.
I don't know.
I have heard very good things about it. I have seen it on YouTube. It looks great. So we're going to take a break from Walt Disney World, though we will be returning to it on this show.
Epcot's
yes,
coming
Epcot.
up.
And but now we're going to the Loire Valley, and this is something I learned about from Epcot's Impressions de France through the years. This was Jeff, and he's
a
outside
typical France morning with lots of fog, but I quite enjoyed it.
So we took the Viator, Skip the Line, Chateau D, Chambord, Chenonceau, and Loire Valley wine tasting day trip from Paris, which is a big mouthful to say.
Say that 3 times.
And we took it with Viator. They sent us on this tour. This is something, the Loire Valley is something I've always wanted to do. At least for many, many years. And this is my 6th trip to France, and I'm very glad to have gotten to do this. Now, Chateau D, Chambord, this is Beauty and the Beast.
It was inspired. Beauty and the Beast, the castle in that film, was inspired by this
Beast
chateau.
Castle. Now, when I saw it, I'm like, well, I'm not sure if I see it, but when you look kind of down the middle, you can really kind of see the inspiration there.
Actually, the filmmakers went and visited the 2 of the chateaus we were at, and I thought that was quite interesting. It's one of the special features on the new Beauty and the Beast Blu-ray.
Now, it was on the last one as well, and I just want to say it's a very fantastic piece, and you can learn about the Loire Valley there.
Part of the classic special features, if you're really looking.
Yes, and built in 1519, this is the largest chateau in the Loire Valley. It was built as a hunting lodge by Francois I. He only lived here a few weeks, which is crazy, because you build this huge building with 440 rooms and 282 fireplaces, and then you don't live there.
Well, that's excess at its utmost, isn't it?
Yes, and we have just seen, I don't know if we'll see it again, the double helix staircase, which may have been designed by Leonardo da Vinci, though he died before this was built. And that allowed somebody, you could walk upstairs and then somebody else could walk downstairs.
And never see each other.
Yes, and I thought that was pretty incredible. And we have one of the bedrooms here, and we were told the beds are so short because they would actually sleep sitting up.
Right, they didn't like to be laying down because that reminded them of death.
I know.
I never have that problem when I go to sleep at all.
So we thought that was interesting.
Here's another shot of that double helix staircase we talked about. This is looking down from the 2nd floor, and I love the designs on the ceiling here.
Well, what the design is, it's Francois, F for Francois, and then the salamander was his crust. So I don't know who had to do all that work.
That's a lot of carving, I'll tell you that.
And so we're outside now, and I just want to mention it's on 13,000 acres. This land is like bigger than Central Paris is what I read. It's a lot. This is a lot of land. And he used it, I believe, as hunting grounds. And we've got, I believe there's almost 100 staircases in the whole the chateau.
And that angle looks very familiar because you'll recognize it from the France movie.
Oh, right. From Impressions de France, which also Chenonceau Hopefully I'm saying that right. I'm trying to say them all right. We'll be able to see that as well.
That's what I love the most. You know, we love that movie. We see it all the time.
All the
So it
time.
was so nice to see all these landmarks in person. I love that part.
Well, I love France anyway, and I've been to Mont Saint Michel twice and to some other places. So to be able to come to the Loire Valley and really just get a taste of it. I mean, there's 1,000 chateaus in the Loire Valley. We went to 3 of them, and there's like so many. I had no idea how big the Loire Valley was.
We were fortunate too to have a absolutely perfect day, perfect in every way.
Well, blue skies. I mean, you get a lot of gray skies in France, and so to have a blue day, we had a lot of them the whole trip, which was lovely.
So now we're going to jump ahead about an hour, a little over an hour. We're already at our next chateau.
Right, and this is a smaller chateau. It is a family-owned, and they live there, so you don't actually go in the chateau. It's called Chateau D, and it's either Nitre or Nitre. I looked it up online, but I didn't remember. So, but it was lovely. It has 8,000 visitors or so per year. And it is a vineyard, so we did wine tasting. This is where we did our gourmet meal and wine tasting.
And it was quite wonderful. The wines were fantastic. I've decided I really love French wines now.
Well, we had quite a few of them, and we weren't even planning to have so many. They started with this nice cheese board. We also had, they had baguettes and probably some of the best chicken I've ever had. This was probably my second favorite meal in our 2 weeks.
And apple pie there too. You know, everything came locally, including the wines were all from their vineyards.
Right, and I just want to mention also I've taken numerous tours with Viator in the past, and each tour seems to always have sort of a small place to go that you would never think that you would ever go in your life.
Right. The other 2 stops are big touristy stops, but this one is a relatively an unknown place.
Right. So that's one of the things that I love about taking tours is getting to go to places like this that I would never in my whole life have gone. And this was really a highlight of the trip for us.
I would say charming. It was quite a charming place. Lots of and great hospitality. You can't deny that. That's for sure. Now we're moving on to number 3.
Now this is Chateau Chenonceau. I think that's how you say it. You can tell. I mean, I know a little French, but not enough.
Well, here's another classic reproduction from the Impressions de France movie here.
Right. I think this is near the beginning of the movie. Am I correct?
It is. Indeed, it is.
I should know that. I've seen the movie like a million times.
Although it shows it from the other side. I couldn't reproduce that.
So Chateau Chenonceau is actually the second most visited chateau in France next to Versailles. Versailles is the number 1. And we really love the gardens. And if I had one of the 3 places we went to spend all day at, this would have been the one. This would be
it. I agree. Absolutely agree with that.
Not that the others, they were all spectacular, but the gardens here especially, and I like the donkeys also. They have a place called Donkey Park. I don't know if you have any video of that. But
I don't. Unfortunately, I don't, but we're going to link to your article, and there's some great pictures there that you took.
So this building, the chateau, was built where they had demolished a castle, and I actually looked online because I wasn't sure what the difference between a castle and a chateau was, but from what I understand, it's more that the castle is fortified and the chateau isn't. And I believe that building right there is the only thing maybe standing from that.
And it is on the Cher River there. You can see that the castle has an actual moat. It does serve as a bridge. You can get on the other side of the river.
Well, King Henry II had both a wife and a mistress. And the mistress, Diane de Poitiers, is the one who created kind of that bridge. So I don't want to say created, but she was the one who had that made, as well as some of the gardens.
Looks like we're somehow in a wine cellar.
While we were on the tour bus, they asked if anybody wanted to do an optional wine tasting. And
I believe it was a unanimous decision.
Well, after they said it didn't cost anything extra, everybody's like, yes. Everybody said yes. So it really felt like another Impressions de France moment where you're in this wine cellar. I have never been in a wine cellar that was like this. And so we got to try, maybe 3 or 4 more French wines. This tour is there's plenty of wine tasting to be had on it.
Absolutely. And this little wine excursion in the cellar, completely unadvertised, complete surprise. You know, I did think, again, it was funny that it was a unanimous decision. Every hand went up to do the wine. And here we are. We look so unhappy to be researching this.
Well, when they mentioned it, Jeff's like, well, maybe I want to stay in the chateau a little longer, but I'm glad that we did that. And we could have just gone down there for a couple of minutes, tried a wine or 2, and then headed back up for a while, another 15 15 minutes or so, we could have done that.
Here's a quick look inside the chateau. This is the area that is sort of the bridge over the water.
It's actually called the Bridge Hallway or the Gallery, and I mentioned King Henry II's wife, Catherine de' Medici. She is the one who had this constructed over the bridge that Diana had built.
Lots and lots of history, and here is one last look at the beautiful gardens.
Right, and I believe these are Catherine's gardens. Diana has gardens, and Catherine has her own gardens. And this is really one of my favorite parts of what we saw. The gardens are really gorgeous.
It's like being at Epcot.
Oh, but better.
The
you haven't
France Flower and Garden Festival right here.
No, well, you have this whole big chateau here, this beautiful chateau, and just kind of being here, I could have just sat where we are for hours and hours because it's just the most gorgeous view. And like if we could take a boat through there someday, that would be awesome.
It was wonderful. It was absolutely a highlight of our trip, and I would 100% recommend the Loire Valley.
I would totally recommend this tour through Viator. They have other tours of the Loire Valley, of course, of other areas of France as well.
And not just France, all around the world, even Florida. And speaking of Florida, we are back at Epcot.
Right, we went to see Impressions de France on that day, just as we do most days.
Well, we
when
wanted
go
to sort of
Epcot.
see all the places we had just been to, so it was sort of nice to look at the 30-some-year-old film, and it didn't look much different,
No,
did
it doesn't look different.
But
And
look at this. It's the Muppet Mobile Labs. What a segue. How awesome. You know, they were last seen, I believe, in 2007.
Well, at least in Florida, the last time I saw them in person was the only time I saw them in person before, and that was at Epcot in 2007. Just after Mousesteps started, I was able to grab a few pictures before they went in. I didn't get to see the whole show or anything. So it was nice to see Dr. Bunson Honeydew.
Bunson Honeydew, yes, you
I'm
got
like,
that right.
it took a second. I'm just like,
and
what's
Beaker,
his name?
and there is Beaker up there too. I tell you, you know, the legend of this has been tremendous over the years, and I never did get to see it. I missed it. It was very short-lived. I think at the time they called it the Living Character Initiative.
This was an early part of it. It may have been the first part of the Living Character Initiative, which other items were, you know, like the Remy at Epcot.
Right, that was part
the
of it,
France,
too.
I believe that may have been part of it, yeah.
But it really holds up well. Not only holds up, it exceeds. What a tremendous show. I thoroughly enjoyed this. And it really seems like they are alive.
Well, I just think it is awesome. But I just want to say here, they call this a Vacation-tron. That's what he says he's calling it. So they have different places that you can go, like to Victoria Falls, and that's when you get the squirting water. And there's also other places where, like, you'll have, like, I believe Alaska, and then you'll have snow, which
I still
is the
have some of the
confetti.
snow.
Do you?
I picked it up at the end of the presentation. A little snow puff flew into the air.
So, you know, he's saying pretty much that, you know, you can go on vacation without ever leaving. Unlike us, who went to France,
Yes.
I like to leave the country. But, you know, if you don't want to, you can just have your Vacation-tron and have your vacation here.
What a great show. And I can't wait to see the other new Muppet additions all around Walt Disney World, including at the Magic Kingdom. We'll be doing that very soon.
Well, we're hoping to get to the Magic Kingdom tomorrow, and Pizza Rizzo's coming this fall. Don't know when, but hopefully very soon.
I love the Muppets. I think they're great, and this is, if everything is like this, I'll be very happy.
Well, I like Muppets better than Star Wars, so to get to see the Muppets in so many places.
You can have Muppets and Star Wars.
But I more Muppets. There's no such thing as too many Muppets.
I guess that's
Too
true.
much
I would
Muppets.
agree. I would agree with that. But as far as Star Wars, you know, I know how much you love Disneyland Paris, and their Space Mountain will be Star Wars Hyperspace Mountain next time we go back.
You know, I don't know that it's a good fit for Discoveryland at all, but I did enjoy Hyperspace Mountain in California.
Well, let's not digress too much. We're back here looking at the Muppets, and again, I highly recommend. I heard it's only for a very short time at the moment. It's a test, so if you are going to Epcot and you can get there, I think they do at 10:30 and 11:30. They're not on the
schedule.
Right. So those are just the times we saw them at 10:30 and at 11:30.
I read that they might go to another park, so it is possible they will stick around, so we will see.
Speaking of other parks, we also went to Legoland Florida for a big announcement.
So Lego Ninjago World will open on January 12th, 2017. We have, I believe this is Kai and Nia. coming out, the characters. So the Ninjago world has quite a few different elements, but mostly we're going to be talking about Ninjago the ride today, which is really going to be the highlight of this whole attraction.
Right, think Buzz Lightyear or Men in Black, but instead of guns, you're using your hands and your wrists to hit the targets.
Well, they call it ninja hand moves, and we saw some video of it, and it looks like a really good workout for the arms, especially, you call them bat wings. Like,
I'm sure that's not one of their marketing
So if I
plans.
ride it a lot, I might get really good arms out of that.
Yes, I'm sure that's what they're going for.
And I just want to mention also, Legoland Resort just turned 5 years old, and it was sort of like a birthday on this day for that as well.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. We had a little cake and buttons and everything. It was real nice. Happy 5th birthday
Happy 5th.
to Legoland Florida. And here we go. Here's the ride. This is the loading area. We are inside the ride building right here.
And you can see the track. Apparently, in 3 months, this is all going to be open, less than 3 months from now.
Yeah, there already is one of these in Legoland, California. A friend of ours has actually ridden it, and it sounds like it's great. I like how the concept model for the attraction is made out of Legos. Perfect.
And it's going to be 4D with wind and fog effects.
So now we're going to jump from the model to the heart of the attraction itself.
Right. We spoke with project director from Merlin Entertainment, Keith Carr, about the attraction.
So where we are now on the attraction is we are literally in the midst of battle with Lord Garmadon's evil minions. So we've already left the JoJo Sing, and we're using the skills that we learned to fight the bad guys. So another unique attribute is you see these white walls here, and you'll see some white walls as you come around the corner. We actually digitally project and digital map features onto these walls, and they're interactive. So as we throw a lightning strike or a fireball, you'll see things pop up. So behind you'll see a little weird portion, 3D portion. It's actually a bee's hive. So when you hit it, bees will fly out. So it's another unique attribute instead of just being a static 3D screen that the kids interact with. It's about 3.5 minute ride from start to finish. The attraction will do about 900 to 1,000 per hour. So it's a very high capacity ride. What makes it great for us here in Florida is that it's all indoors. So with the heat and the rain and the lightning, guests can actually escape some of the elements and be entertained while they're here in the attraction.
Looks like a lot of fun. You can see those hand motions I was talking about, so I can't wait to ride this thing.
I know, just a few more months.
And all this traveling is making me very hungry.
Our last segment is about Tin Roof Orlando. It is the live music joint. It's over by the Orlando Eye at iDrive 360. We have not been here before. They have a whole new menu, but even the old menu would have been new to us.
Yeah, all new to us and all very good, especially if you like home-style cooking, Southern cooking.
Right, it's like Southern comfort food, so I wasn't really sure what to expect, especially since I've seen all their old menu items online. That is...
chicken and waffles.
Yes, chicken and waffles, and they are in a cone with a bacon maple glaze. And this is called Candy Pig Mac and Cheese. I don't eat mac and cheese, but you probably enjoyed that.
Nashville hot chicken. We just saw a show, and Anthony Bourdain went and had some of that in Nashville, and it looks so hot. Who knew we were going to try that like a day later?
That was my favorite item. I don't generally like hot items. It's rubbed with cayenne pepper. And normally I would be like, no thanks. But it was almost too hot for me, but not quite. So
it was delicious. I would get that again.
I had 3 samples of that, and that's what I would go back for when we go on our own.
There's some brisket here. Boy, oh boy. This I'm telling you, we need to get a little food, a little snack.
Well, they have something called Dixie Biscuits with 3 fried biscuit sliders, including brisket, bacon, and peach jam. And here we are seeing some of these items again, including the chicken and waffles. And I didn't start out trying those, but they're almost like chicken tenders. And then I didn't know there would be like a maple, so it almost feels like a breakfast item.
Right, this was the snack size, so we can try all this stuff. We certainly didn't want to try the full portions, or we would never have made it through more than one.
And that's the Dixie Biscuits. Those weren't really as much my thing as this was. This was the Nashville hot chicken.
Oh boy.
And again, that is the item when we come back here that I would get probably again and again.
And I like that you say when, not if. I agree with that. I can't wait to go back. I really enjoyed the samplings.
Well, the prices were very reasonable, or I consider them reasonable. And again, we go over the Orlando Eye fairly not very often, but pretty often. And they have the Sea Life Aquarium here and also Madame Tussauds.
And this is a very hot dessert. They said, don't touch the tray. And of course, the first thing I did is I touched the tray.
Well, that's the cast iron cookie with salted caramel, and that is the only dessert item on their menu. It would be nice if they had 1 or 2 more items. We enjoyed pretty much everything here, but especially that Nashville hot chicken.
Cannot wait to go back.
Yes.
I am hungry just thinking about it. All this traveling, I tell you.
And I mentioned that Tin Roof Orlando is called the live music joint. What I was told is mostly the live music's at night, so if you're looking for a quieter experience, like we often like something a little quieter, go for lunch.
Sounds good, and believe it or not, that's another show.
That's another show.
We want to thank our sponsors, MEI Travel and Mouse Fan Travel.
You can go to their website and request a quote for a Disney vacation.
Also, the allears.net newsletter. Go to the show notes, subscribe. Well worth it. Lots and lots of great info there.
I have been subscribed for many years.
Thanks for listening. Have a great week, and we'll see you all next week.
Have a great week.